StanceSwitch the Podcast, episode 2. Today is Thursday, the 20th. That's the day I'm recording this. Probably be out on a Friday. Big fight on Saturday. Thank you for tuning in. This is episode 2, StanceSwitch. Please subscribe, like it. Follow the Instagram page, which I'm still booting up, but it's StanceSwitchPod. One word, StanceSwitchPod on Instagram. Follow that page. I'm still, booting it up, but, we're getting things rolling here. So this episode 2 should be a good episode 2 because if you're watching this, I assume you know, big fight coming up on Saturday. Like I said, I'm recording this on Thursday. You have those pre-fight feels going on. UFC 270. Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane, heavyweight title. There's a whole lot of backstory and drama kind of going on to this fight, which, I like to think of myself as a purist. Like I don't get too caught up in I'm always informed about what's going on, but I try to keep it pure and just focus on the fight. But I just heard this quote, so I'm going to steal it from Luke Thomas, which is fighters live and die in their head. And I definitely think that's true. Not just fighters, though. But, these guys, in general, I think that's a fair statement. A lot of what goes on is going on in their head. And so, that being said, this drama, it's in play. It's in play on Saturday, I think is completely fair to say. Quick recap. So, first off, there's a couple different things going on here. Ciryl Gane and Francis Ngannou used to be training partners. It doesn't seem like they were they were training together all the time or anything, but they were both under, I forget the name of the gym, but Ferdinand Lopez was the coach. Sparring footage has been released. Kind of shows, at least, it's not definitive. It looks very touchy and kind of feely, just playing around kind of thing, because it's also pretty sloppy. But, it looks like it's going kind of how you would expect. It's hard to even judge what's going on in the quick footage. And honestly, it doesn't mean anything. But Ciryl Gane, kind of being the more technical one, of course, and, kind of getting the best of Francis for whatever that means in this context. Again, the video means nothing. There was some to-do made about the fact that it was even put out there. Just because, that's kind of frowned upon in just the martial arts community, kind of releasing sparring footage, because the gym is supposed to be the place that you go to get better. So you win in quotes, you lose in quotes, but it's not really any of that. You're there to train, you're getting better, kind of it's supposed to be a home away from home thing. So a lot of people are upset at the idea that this footage is even released supposedly by Ferdinand Lopez. So I'm just giving you guys a rundown of all the bullet points of drama, I guess, that have been going on. So we got that going on. What else happened? Oh, of course, Francis Ngannou's contract situation. There's a lot going on there too, but just to summarize, I think this is his last fight of his contract. He's not happy with what he's getting paid, which very few are in the UFC, it seems like. So it's seeming like he's not going to re-sign. And so that makes this fight and the consequences of this fight all the more important, because obviously if he wins, then now he's going to be in a position where they need to re-sign him. If your heavyweight champion walks away and goes into free agency and signs with somebody else, it's not a good look. The UFC does not want that. That'd be a best case scenario for Francis. Not that he walks away, but just that he wins, obviously, because that will give him all the leverage, because now it will be a known thing that, hey, you guys need me. I'm the UFC champion. You can't just have me walk away. Like, you're going to have to come up on the price, which is going to have to, if there's any chance, win or lose, if there's any chance of keeping Francis, from what he's been saying, the UFC is going to have to come up in price. Now, obviously, if he loses, I mean, even if he loses, he's still a big star. He can still, headline for sure. But, if he's demanded too much money, the UFC's definition of too much money anyway, then they'll probably, for sure, they will let him go. They're not going to bend to anything that he wants, regardless, win or lose, but especially if he loses. If he wins, well, then maybe there's a happy medium where both parties are unhappy. I think that's a definition of a compromise, I think. But so yeah, his whole contract situation looms over the fight too. So you have training partners that now, also it's not like Ferdinand Lopez, the coach, and Francis are like they split on good terms. I haven't watched any of his interviews, but he gives a lot of interviews, and I don't want to say he's talking shit, but it doesn't seem like they're not on good terms, just from the quotes I've seen here and there and the feel of things. Like, they didn't split on good terms. So that's a big thing looming over the fight. And then, like I said, his contract kind of dispute. So these are kind of big topics that, like I said, I feel like me and like-minded people are very quick to dismiss some of these, like the drama surrounding fights. I know I used to do that a lot just because, like I said, I'm a purist. So I focus on the actual techniques that are going to be used, the skill, the actual fighting aspect of it, which obviously is the most important. But you can't just completely dismiss the other shit that's going on. Because like I said, that's going to be in your head on some level. Even obviously, if you're, you've trained your mind well and whatnot, once you walk into the cage, you're not actively thinking about whatever the fuck, but it's in your head leading up, it's coming across, you're having to hear about it, you know what I mean? So it is relevant to at least bring up. But as far as the actual fight goes, honestly, to me, it's a little bit overstating, but to me, it's really power versus skill. Now, obviously, Francis's last fight with Stipe, he stuffed first off, if you remember that fight, when he stuffed that takedown, there was like, in that entire arena that night, there was like, I don't know, you could feel like fear almost, if that makes sense. Like, that was the way he looked when he stuffed that takedown easily, and he just was so fucking big and everything. Like, that was significant. How much other skill did he show? I mean, he was patient the whole fight. I think he finished him in the second round. Stipe, I'm talking about. Francis finished Stipe in the second round. He stuffed the takedown, like I said, and he was patient. I would say those are the biggest takeaways skill-wise from that fight. Kamaru was in his corner. I'm sure that definitely helped. Be interested to see if Kamaru's in. I don't think Kamaru's going to be in his corner again this time. I bet that helped him a lot, though. But I would say patience, and he stuffed the takedown, which we needed to see. Like, for this fight to even be what it is now, we needed to see an upgrade somewhere. For him to beat Stipe, we needed to see that upgrade somewhere, and he did. He did what he needed to do. He got the job done, and that was an exciting fight for sure. But Ciryl Gane is more skilled. I mean, you cannot. To me, that's not even up for debate. Ciryl Gane is just more skilled. Granted, bias. He has a Muay Thai background. So, like I said, I'm always rock with the people who come from Muay Thai. But disregarding that, he just has the style that you would use to beat a heavy puncher like Francis. You know, he had his long distance attacks. He stays on the outside. He's good at distance management, leg kicks. Of course, you know, I just watched Cyril Gane's fight with who's he fighting? Rosenstruck? I can't remember. I think it was Rosenstruck. But yeah, leg kicks, super patient, quick jab. I mean, he literally has all the tools that you would need if you are going against somebody who's a heavy puncher. Now, that's why I say it's somewhat overstated, because in his last fight, Francis did show that he's working on skill, right? He's not trying to just stay this heavy puncher whose punches are wild and looping, but if he catches you, you know, you're going out. But he's trying to, you know, I don't think, I should have went back and watched the Stipe fight. That way I could see how straight his punches look. But regardless of that, he's getting better. Like, Cyril Gane seems cemented where he is, whereas Francis in his last fight showed that he is somebody who has a lot to build upon. I mean, that's part of the reason why Cyril Gane is maybe not getting so much better, you know, in fight after fight, is because he's kind of already at the level. You know, it's like putting on muscle. You know, in the beginning, you can put on a lot of muscle, but eventually you kind of plateau and you have to, you know, implement some other methods in order to keep gaining muscle. It's not as simple as it was in the beginning. That's kind of how I see where Cyril Gane has been in the gym putting on muscle for a while. And so he obviously can continue to get better, but it's not as easy as in the beginning. Whereas Francis, his skills are just a lot more raw. And so he's somebody who, if he's putting in the work, even at his age, I think he's like 35 or whatever, but if he's putting in the work, you can see growth fight after fight. If he's putting in the work with the right coach and, you know, able to actually do it in the fight, then I feel like that's what we'll see. And that's what we're going to need to see. I feel like we'll get to see that very early on in the fight. As soon as the fight starts, so Francis is going to be patient. If he comes out and does anything but be patient, I'll be very surprised. That being said, I mean, I'll be surprised, but another option would be to just rush him, because I'm sure Cyril is betting on Francis to be patient, you know, because they know that's how Gane is. They know that Cyril's patient. They know he likes to stay on the outside, chooses weapons wisely. And they know that Francis has a tendency not to do that. Like I said, he did in the Stipe fight, but in general, that's not what he does. Obviously, if you're going against somebody who's patient, the one tactic would be to also be patient. And I think that would benefit Francis in that if he's not patient and just goes swinging and doesn't get the knockout, he could get caught with something. His cardio could go, you know. There's a lot of factors at play. So I think most people would agree Francis will probably come out patient. And that's where we'll see is I figure Cyril Gane is going to start attacking the leg, throwing out his jabs. Like, we're basically going to see how Francis reacts to that, what he has, you know. If you're at a distance, like, what is Francis going to do to get inside? What are his tactics going to be to get inside that range and land? Again, Gane's going to be patient. I think that will make Ngannou be patient as well. And then that's where we'll see how Ngannou's going to deal with that range management, how he's going to deal with the leg kicks. Is he gonna try and at least go? Is he gonna go for some takedowns? You know, is he gonna at least feint some level changes just to kind of get Gane thinking? Is Gane gonna feint some level changes, or possibly even go for a takedown? Like, you know, that's obviously what we'll have to wait and see for the fight. Prediction-wise, I think Gon will get it done. But when somebody has knockout power like Francis, it's like my prediction can be correct that Gon should win. But of course, all it takes is one hit, right time, right place, right spot, and Francis could easily win. I'm picking Gon though, but again, anything could happen. Jon Jones is another factor that looms heavily over this fight on Saturday too. It's like he's been out for however long it's been, 2 years. Everybody wanted to see the Francis fight. Still the bigger fight, and maybe the biggest fight that can be made right now. I think every kind of for me, that's the biggest fight that can be made right now. I'd rather see Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou than any Conor fight, any fucking Jorge fight. Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou, to me, is the biggest fight that can be made right now. Jon Jones versus Cyril Gane. A lot of people are going to favor Gane for good reason. I'm still not. I actually went to the Jon Jones-Dominic Reyes fight. So I watched it in real time, just watching from the stands. I thought Jon Jones lost. I was like, fuck. Again, I just said that Jon Jones is like one of the big reasons why I'm as into the sport as I am. And that was my first time ever getting to go see him. And so I literally thought like, fuck. I'm finally here getting to see the reason why I train and everything live. And then I think I had that thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure I just watched him lose. His first real loss live right now. Of course, it turned out he won. And I don't think I've ever gone back and rewatched it. But in real time, complete bias. I think I had on a fucking Jon Jones shirt while I was there watching it, and I was like, fuck. I think I just watched Jon Jones lose. But he didn't. But, so based on that, though, a lot of people, and that was his last fight. So based on that, a lot of people will probably pick Cyril Gane to win. I'm going to still rock with Jon. I just think Jon, to me, has an invariable, which I think Chael Sonnen has talked about this. I feel like I've heard a lot of people talk about it before, but it's like some people just... Jon Jones is just a winner. To me, the same way that like Floyd Mayweather's a winner. Like there are just some people who you put them in a situation, and then obviously here we're talking about fights, and so you put them in a fight and they'll find a way to win. So like even if, the other person is better than them one way or another, or whatever the case may be, I just felt like some people are just, in that moment, they're winners. And maybe that time is past for Jon. I guess we'll see. But I think that's what Jon has operated on for the latter part of his career. For the past couple of fights where people are saying he didn't really look that good or whatever. I think we're just seeing Jon just the winner. It's like maybe he's not as skilled as he was, but he's still skilled enough, and he's just always gonna find a way to win. And so if Gane beats Francis, and so it's Jon Jones and Cyril Gane, then maybe Gane will be the one to, that we'll see that unravel with. But I'd still favor Jon in the Gane fight or the Francis fight. Like I'd still pick Jon to win either one of those. Yeah, I just don't think we've seen the very last of Jon Jones yet. I mean, even what he's doing now, people aren't really paying attention to it, and I get it. He's still having, whatever the fuck he's got going on, but on just strictly just looking at the training methodology and like how he's preparing himself for this heavyweight move. I mean, when have we ever seen somebody do this before? When have we ever we've seen guys go up in weight, but usually it's somebody who cuts weight already, and so now they're just not cutting weight. They're just kind of eating whatever they want and they're going into fight at their walk around weight, basically. But correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we've ever seen somebody do what Jon is doing, take 2 years off. And obviously, there were other reasons to take the time, but from the looks of it, it looks like he's used all of this time because he's still not ready, So it's not like something else was in the way. It's not like something else was holding him up. And then in addition to that, he also is just trying to put on weight. It's like, because he's still not ready. So apparently he's needed this time. So regardless of the personal issues or whatever, it seems like he was going to be out 2 years plus to do this thing this way, to really go in, work with Stan Efferding, who I read a little bit about him. I think, he used to be a bodybuilder, but he was like the world's strongest bodybuilder. So he was also like some kind of power lifter or something. He wrote a book about he created the vertical diet. So, he's a reputable person to, go in and train with. And I know Jon's been working with him. He looks bigger. But more, like I said, more importantly, I just don't remember anybody ever approaching it this way. And to me, it seems very smart. And it makes it more exciting, honestly. Like, if Jon Jones, because, I think Jon walked around at like 215 or so, which is heavyweight. So if Jon just didn't cut weight and just kind of walked in at heavyweight 2 years ago, basically, it still would have been exciting. But I think the fact that he's doing it this way has built, for me, a lot of momentum, for me personally. But I also recognize the fact that a lot of people don't care anymore, or they don't care as much. They'll probably care when and if he comes back and is about to fight. But for me, like, it's still kind of on my mind. They're like, oh yeah, because I see him on Instagram and shit. So I'm like, okay, he's still training. He's still going at this. So I haven't forgot about it. To me, I'm excited about the prospect of him fighting either one of them. Like I said, Francis is the bigger fight, but it'll be exciting either way, honestly. It'll be interesting to see how Jon would deal. We've seen him deal with both, right? We've seen him deal with the heavy puncher, but not like Francis. And we've seen him deal with the patient kickboxer, Thiago. For some reason I can't remember his last name right now. But we watched him beat Thiago, who was I think they kept saying he had a black belt in Muay Thai. There's no belts in Muay Thai, but for some reason in my head, that's what the commentators kept saying, is that he had a black belt in Muay Thai. I could be wrong, but he was a kickboxer at the very least. And we saw Jon beat him, but I think Ciryl Gane's better. So I think Francis is the heaviest puncher that Jon will have gone against, and I think Ciryl Gane is maybe the best kickboxer. So I'm excited for the prospect of either one, honestly. Posted about this on my Instagram and thought it'd be a cool topic to cover. So, I train. I figure a lot of other people out there train. What are my top 5 songs right now to train to? And I feel like this will give you a good idea of where I am musically too. But I do want to hear other people's, because I'm always looking for music to add to my playlist. So, but for me right now, I have, and I'm gonna look through this right now. I'm on my workout playlist on my iPad here. Can't play any of it obviously, but so these are the songs that, like, when I'm training, when I'm in the gym, whenever I'm doing any kind of workout, I just put my shit on shuffle. I use Apple Music, so I just put my shit on shuffle and let it shuffle. Every now and then there'll be a song I definitely don't want to hear, so I'll skip it. And every now and then there'll be a song that plays that I want to hear again, so I'll replay it. But for the most part, I just kind of let it go. But then in the back of your mind, there are always the songs that you hope play. You don't want to pull your phone out and find it specifically and play it, but you're hoping that it'll play. Like, I know these are the songs basically if it's chest day and I'm benching, or if it's leg day and I'm squatting, or, if we're training and they're like, okay, time to do pads. I hope, and if I'm the DJ anyway, I'm hoping this song plays next. Like these are the songs I want to hear when it's really go time. So I'm gonna do my top 5. I'm gonna look for these, so it's gonna take me a minute. But number 1, right off the bat, this is in no particular order, but for sure this is on the list, is Make It Even, ESTG. ESTG could probably have a couple songs on here for me, but for sure every time that song comes on, it's almost a bet I'm gonna probably play it twice, So that's definitely on the list. If that's not on your workout playlist, add that on there. Make It Even, ESTG. Got some old school 50 Cent. I feel like I am. So I'm gonna put another classic that I like on here. I actually saw him live here in Austin, sometime last year, late last year. 22G's, and then honestly with 22G's, first off, if you're not up on him, you definitely gotta go put him on your playlists. Like, I think I even wrote on Twitter at some point, he retweeted or something, like, if you're trying to hit a PR in the gym, for me, 22G's is somebody who I'm for sure gonna put on. Like, if it's a heavy day, you have your light days where it's almost like I don't even really care what plays. But then there are the other days where it's like, nah, today I'm hitting PRs, I'm pushing it. That's a day where I know I want to hear a lot of 22G's playing. And so, I could pick, there's so many songs I could pick. Just because for me, he's somebody who doesn't really miss a lot. But I'll go with 22G Steppers. 22G Steppers. That's 2 of the list, but again, this is not in any kind of order or anything. Okay, so let me see what else. I feel like I honestly have to put a Young Boy song on here. I'm from Louisiana, so he's really popular. He's from there, so obviously he's real popular, in that community or whatever. But for the longest, I never found any songs that I liked of his. But then I don't even know what song it is. But I think I just wasn't listening to the right shit. Because at some point, or maybe I just was listening to it at the wrong times. Because to me, that's perfect workout music. Like, that's the kind of shit that I want to hear when I'm working out. So really, and the reason why last year, or maybe even the year before that or something, he would have 3 of my top 5 songs on here. But just as of recently, I've kind of been, just finding some other shit to listen to. Oh, okay. Beam Effect, NBA Youngboy, for sure. That could be, if I had to, this is my top 5 right now, but if I had to make a top 5 of all time, that would be on there, and that might be number 1, honestly. I kind of played it out, though, is the issue. So for me right now, it's kind of played out. Every now and then, I'll kind of make myself keep it on and keep working out or whatever, but I played it out hard because I was listening to it all. Like, I was playing back to back to back to back while I was working out. But just for the legacy effect, I'll say Beam Effect, Youngboy. Definitely, if you haven't heard that, or worked out with that or trained with that or whatever, put that on your list for sure. Probably fuck both of these words up, but the band is Burzum, Burzum, and then the name of the song is Dunkelheit. Pretty sure that's true. It sounds German or something close to that region, but that is, and it's 7 minutes long too. Every time that song comes on, I feel like rap takes you to one place, but then I in general, I just like aggressive music in general. And that could be rap, rock, fucking whatever the fuck, just music that elicits some kind of emotion. And that is definitely a song that takes you, like I said, rap takes you to one place, but then shit like this takes you to another place. That for me, I really like that song I really like that song. Honestly, Weights. I like that. Like when that comes on and I'm like, benching or something like that. That's when I like to hear shit like that. And then for the last one, for the fifth one, just because I've dragged this on long enough, we'll do Back Again. Back Again by King Von. That's when I find myself going back to a lot. So that's my top 5 songs to train to. Let me know in the comments or message me, email me. By the way, also email stanceswitchpod@gmail.com. Let me make sure that's actually what it is. I can't remember if I made it pod or podcast. Let me see. Neither of those. StanceSwitch Show @gmail.com. StanceSwitch Show @gmail.com. So again, comment, email me. Also email me anything. Email me questions you want answered, or suggestions for the show, because obviously I'm still building this up. This is still the very beginning. So email me suggestions. If you're in Austin and want to be a guest, also email me. Because again, I'm in the beginning stages here. So I have an idea of how I want it, but it's still being formed. So I'm open to any kind of suggestions or anything else like that. So anything you want talked about or discussed, be sure to hit me up. Comments, email, Instagram, anything like that, hit me up and we'll talk about it. I'm gonna go live on YouTube. On this page, I'm gonna go live right after the fights on Saturday. I'll probably be on for, 30 minutes or so, just talking about everything that just happened. Those are always super exciting to me, because I know, like, after a big fight like that, my energy is always way up. So I'm not going to sleep. If I'm not super drunk or anything like that, I'm definitely not going to sleep. And so that's what I want, is to kind of talk about the fights in a meaningful way. Because, if you go to bars or whatever like that, it's like the people who are there are watching it the same way that I'll watch, some fucking college football game that's on, like in a bar. Like, I don't really care that much, which is cool sometimes, but then other times I want to hear, people actually talk about what it really means and like what we just saw and shit like that. So that's what I'm going to be doing live on YouTube Saturday after the fights. Tune in, get your questions off or whatever. And that's what we'll do. We'll make it a spot. This is StanceSwitch, the podcast. Again, follow me everywhere. Comment, subscribe, whatever the fuck. Thanks for listening.